What's up, everybody? Rivera here, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. Okay, so this morning when I woke up, my best friend had sent me the YouTube clip of Malik Yoba, who was the star of New York Undercover, being interviewed by The Breakfast Club, Charlemagne the God, DJ Envy, Angela Yee. If you're not familiar, it's a radio show in New York. I regularly watch, I regularly listen. I really enjoy the things they talk about. I enjoy their sense of humor. I just like the show. But they were interviewing Malik Yoba, who has recently come out as being attracted to trans women. And he brought with him two activists in the LGBTQIA plus community, David John and Nala Simone. And then he also brought with him Carmen Carrera, who's well known from RuPaul's Drag Race. So anyway, the interview itself, I will say, to me, it just sucked. And the numbers on YouTube show that too. I don't blame Charlemagne and the others. I blame the educators, who are the trans activists, David John and Nala Simone. And just that whole side of the table, you know, the people being interviewed, to me really sucked, because they start off the interview with wanting the Breakfast Club to apologize for being the source of trauma when it comes to some of the jokes and things they've said about LGBT, specifically trans people. And it's just like, why? I mean, like, if they're joking and now they have you in so that you can tell your side of the story and say what it is you are and educate people on what you are, why does it have to start off with such a victim mentality? Why can't you just get to talking? Like, clearly they don't hate you, or they wouldn't have you in. They wouldn't be asking you to help educate people. And then it turned into just a whole, because it was like an hour and 12 minutes or something like that, the whole interview. It turned into a whole thing where they just kept policing language and saying, like, you know, and it's like, with me, when it comes to, and like, I'm gonna tell you guys, because at home on the last one that I did, I had people commenting and saying trans people just want this and trans people just want that. No, the trans people that you see on TV just want these things. The trans people that you see blogging and making all the trouble online just wants these things. The average trans person, I can tell you, just wants to enjoy their life just like you do. Just wants to not be murdered, not be harassed in their everyday life. The average trans person is not looking to change you or make you say any particular thing as far as you go. Like, a lot of people in my community will say cisgender and transgender. I see a lot of women being like, I'm not gonna say I'm cisgender, I'm gonna say I'm a natural born woman. Well, I don't know a lot of LGBT people in everyday life that really mind that. Like, I know I personally don't mind what you say. I say cisgender just because it's the language that gets the point across in my community, and it's like a shorthand for me. But when a woman says she's a natural born woman or a biological woman, like, you're allowed to say whatever you want to say, just like I identify the way I identify. I know other LGBT people have gotten mad at me because I personally identify as a fag. People get mad at me for saying that, you know, because I'm supposed to say I'm a gay man or whatever. So I get when you say, I'm not gonna say that I'm a cisgender woman. But I also don't think you have to act like it's a big violation when somebody refers to you as a cisgender woman, because it's not meant as an insult in any way. Now, like I said, I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth, and I don't feel like that's my place, and I don't feel like that's anybody's place. Just like trans people identify different ways, you know, they even address that on the show. Like, some trans women say they're even trannies, you know, like, that's something that they admitted on the show, that there are some trans women that identify that way. So if they choose to identify that way and I'm not supposed to correct them on the way that they identify, then I don't want anybody correcting me on how I identify, and I don't think any of us should in turn do that to biological females when they say I'm a natural born woman, or however they choose to identify. And I feel you ladies when you say that, also because there are people that want me to identify as Latinx. I'm Latino, that's what I am. I'm not saying I'm Latinx. Nobody's gonna force me to say I'm Latinx. I'm Latino. More specifically, I'm Chicano, which is a shorthand for Mexican American. But again, if somebody refers to me as being Latinx, because I know what they're saying and I know that they don't have a bad intention in saying it, I'm not going to act like it's a huge violation. So one thing that's bothering me on all sides is when people act like they're so violated by, oh, they said this or they want me to use these words. It's like, then just don't use the words. But at the same time, don't act like it's such a big deal and such a violation. It is what it is. In that way, if you ask me, everybody needs to get over it. But then, like I said, I blame the educators for being so terrible at what they were supposed to be doing. Because when it comes to LGBT, I think one of the things that we can do to help people understand us better is to just be a little bit fun. To, like, if you're, okay, because there are very important points they were trying to make about trans women that are being murdered, and I get when you're like, this is the terminology we're going to use because that's what it is. Like, as far as the situation that's going on with the 18 trans women that have been murdered so far in this country this year alone, that is a very serious thing, and I think it is important that we call it what it is because they are being murdered. They're not just dying. I think that's the most important. So if they had just drove that home and been like, look, we need to stop these murders. We need to stop this violence against trans people. We need to make sure that these trans people do not get harassed in everyday life and that we don't allow people to harass in everyday life. If they had made sure that they really drove those points home and let everything else just be kind of chill and fun and answer the questions, because anytime Charlemagne and the others would ask questions, the trans activists would like jump on them. Like at one point they asked how old you were when you knew you were trans, which to me is a valid question. If you're trying to get to know someone and you're trying to get educated about something, it's okay to ask that question. I mean, people asked me when I knew I was gay, and I am easy to tell them, you know, that I did know when I was about 5 years old. I didn't know gay, but I knew I was different. And then when people come at me with, well, how did you know if you hadn't ever had sex? I just knew I was attracted to, like when you're attracted to little girls, I was attracted to little boys, and I knew that. So for me, that's not at all an offensive question. It helps people get a better idea and a better sense of where it is you're coming from and kind of how you knew. When some people say that trans isn't a thing and if you're born a man, you're a man, to me that's such an ignorant way to go at it. And I'm sorry if I'm calling any of you ignorant, but if the shoe fits, buy it in every color. It's just an ignorant way to come at it because we all know what we are in our own heads, and everything else, in my opinion, is for God to decide. Because when I realized that I was different from the other boys and that I wasn't attracted to girls and I knew that I was supposed to like girls and not boys, I prayed every day that God would make me normal. I didn't even know the word gay. I just knew I wasn't normal. And I wanted God to make me normal. And I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And I still ended up being who I am. You know, I fought it. I struggled with it. And then I just accepted me, and I'm a very happy person now. I mean, like, I go through my troubles like everybody else. So I feel the same for trans people. They know what's going on in their own heads better than anybody else. And that's something that I don't think anybody should try to take away from them. Just like when you say you know that you were born the right way, you know, like, and I don't mean the right way. I know some people are going to, which is another thing. Trans people, stop acting like you're offended by every single thing everybody says that isn't exactly the way you want it said. Because I had trans people get mad at me at the last post I did, the last video I did, which was about Angelica Ross and the whole Pose and Black Girls Rock situation. And it was just like, I don't want to argue with you for 3 days on social media and have you call me a transphobe a million times because I didn't say what it is you wanted me to say exactly the way I wanted to say it. If you want something said exactly the way you want to say it, how about you get off your ass and you make your own video? How about you do that? Because I'm not always going to say exactly what anybody wants me to say. I'm sure there are some people that identify as females, you know, they're natural born women, biological women, cisgender women, right now that are watching this video and are mad at certain things I said. I'm not arguing with you either. I mean, like, I'm just not going to argue with people. I don't mind opinions. I love opinions. I had really good conversations with some people that felt completely different from the way that I feel on the last video. And I don't mind that even a little bit, not even a little bit. The only thing I ask is that you be respectful. There's no reason to be disrespectful. I'm not disrespecting anybody in the way that I'm saying anything right now, but I didn't get disrespect from the cisgender women, even that didn't agree with me. Now, when it came to the trans people that didn't agree with me, one in particular, it was like, just stop being an asshole. I mean, like, at this point, it's not even about how you identify. Stop identifying as trans and just identify as an asshole, because that's what you're acting like. You're mad about everything right now. And she was saying that I had to be transphobic because, well, I said she, but I think he identifies as he. And even that, it's like, I don't know exactly how this person identifies. Like, on their Facebook profile, it said that they were a bi-gender dyke. And then I ended up talking to another one of their friends, and they said that they identify as he. Those are his pronouns, like he and him. But it's like, I don't know, because to me, dykes had always been lesbians, which lesbians are obviously female. But if you're saying you're something different, then I'm fine with that. But like, even me saying she instead of he could turn into a deal where they want to argue with me for the next couple of days and say that I misgendered them. Not everybody's keeping track of your transition like that. You know, don't take it so seriously, boo-boo, because some of us aren't even thinking about you like that. Like, really, I was fine to respect this person, and I tried to have a regular conversation with them. But when you go on day 2 and you're still arguing about something I said, obviously 2 days ago, get a life, get a hobby, build a ship in a bottle. I don't know what you're going to do, but don't make that my problem. And it was like a very passive aggressive, because first they started on my page and then they went to their page, and then one of my friends noticed and was like, why are you still talking about him? Like, he's not, because none of this is personal. None of this is me thinking about one person in particular other than my best friend, because my best friend Renee, who happens to be a black cisgender female, which even she is very specific about the kind of black she is, which we're not going to go into that, but she is very specific about that, and I respect that because she's my friend. It's like, that's more the way to do it, is give people the general, let them have fun, you know, just as far as like learning, like have a sense of humor about it. Like, when people ask me, because I do redneck clubs, a lot of you may not know me, and I'm fine with that, but I regularly perform in redneck clubs. And being a gay man, having performed in redneck clubs for probably the last 12, 13 years, maybe even 14 years that I've been performing in redneck clubs, I always meet people, because I do real redneck clubs and I'm great at it, but that's besides the point. But I have people ask me a lot of the same questions about me being gay over and over and over. And it's always the same question. But I always try to act like it's the first time anybody's asked me that question, so that they feel completely comfortable. I'm always fun about it. I'm always nice. There's days where I have bad days where I'm not the most fun about it, but that's very rare, because I feel like I do have a responsibility to people to help them if they actually want to get to know me. If people don't want to get to know me and don't like what I am, start to finish, point blank, period, full stop, however you want to put it, I'm fine with that too. But if they want to get to know me, I feel like I have a responsibility to educate them while they have me there. Because if not, where else are they going to get it? Which, this isn't an excuse to talk about me. I'm saying that for a lot of trans people and the trans activists that were on Breakfast Club, this could be a very effective strategy for you. Let people get to know you as a person, make it fun for them to learn, and then they're more likely to take it in and be cool. And then guess what? By the end of the interview, they have a trans friend, or they have a gay friend, or they have a trans activist friend. And whenever they have a question, they can go to you, or they can look at your Twitter, or they can look at your Facebook, or they can hit you up in DMs and ask you. If you say you want the world to change, you got to be a part of the change, and you got to be willing to accept that when people are learning new things, they're not always going to use the right words, and you shouldn't try to overload them with a bunch of information that's like useless. Like, there was a point where Malik Yoba, who's the point of this whole thing, but he was the least dynamic part of this whole interview for me. In an hour and 12 minutes, I know he talked plenty, but I really didn't get to know him, and I don't care to. Nothing against him, but just he didn't seem like a dynamic personality. What I gotta say? I don't know Hollywood, though. He's obviously been on New York Undercover, and you guys never heard of me, so maybe he's more dynamic than me, and I just don't know it. Anyway, my point is, during that interview, there was a point where he was talking about cisgender women, and then he was like, you know, try to use, I think the term was biological that he was going to use, and then the trans activist, David John, corrected him with, for women assigned female at birth, for who that is how they identify. I had that written down, and it's hard to say. For women assigned female at birth, for who, that is how they identify. That's what you want people to start saying? Well, you can pack all those words in your mouth all you want, but I'm not doing that ever. I will just say cisgender or biological woman. That's what I'm going to say in those cases. I'm not even committing that to memory. That's why I wrote it on paper, so that eventually, when I'm done with this, which I am right now, I'm not trying to remember that shit. You can tear it up in even more, make it into confetti, and throw a party, because I am not doing it. Ugh, I'm so sick of people. But anyway, my main point is stop acting like everything's such a trauma. Everybody. Straight women, cisgender women, trans women, trans men, gay men. Everybody, not everything is such a trauma. Not everything has to be a big deal. Like, accept that, like some things, and especially the people that are different like me, I accept I'm different. I'm gay, I'm Mexican. Some people say I look Asian. I've had some plastic surgery. Obviously, that makes me different. I am a plastic American, a Botoxed American. We're going to add another B to the LGBT community so that it includes people like me that have had Botox, which not in my lips. So people that think I have Botox in my lips, I have not had Botox in my lips. My lips are silicone. That's what they are. My forehead is Botox, and really might need to be done again. But anyway, it's all right to just admit that you're something different and move on. Anyway, I hope you guys took this the way that it was meant, and I hope that if you like my silliness, you will subscribe. I don't know how funny this is, and I don't really care. Like, if you want to see me be funny, come out and watch a show. I'm at tyrivera.com. That's where you can find me, and I'll maybe put it right here. Maybe I won't, because I'm lazy. Look down in the description. There's my website down there. And there's also, if you want to buy my album and see if I'm funny, you can do that. It's like $10 on iTunes. So this has been Ty Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world.